Welcome to Smalltalk Daily for Wednesday, January 14th, 2009. This morning I'd like to go through a scripting example, meaning scripting a runtime build of an application written in Smalltalk. So the one I'm going to use as an example is the iTunes alarm clock that I did a screencast on some time ago to show off using AppleScript, but that's not really the point here. I've added one class to this package called Alarm Clock System. This package is in the public store so you can look at it yourself. And I've added this thing, and it is a subclass of user application. Now it turns out in newer versions of Cincom Smalltalk there's a whole subsystem thing which is kind of like Linux or Unix run levels, and they control what happens at what time during the startup process. So the user application has a method called main. You subclass this, add your own code, in this case code to fire off my GUI, and it'll start that up. If it were a server-based application, I might have it fire off code to start the server process. Either way, you implement one of these, implement the main method, have it do its thing, and you're all set. Now that's the code part of this. I've dropped out a parcel, which I'll do again just to show you that I'm doing that. So I'll just drop this out, overwrite the existing one, and then I'll not worry about this image. I'm going to run a little build script, and here's my build script. I'm going to tell it that I'm going to use another subsystem, deployment options system, and tell it when I start up, I start in runtime. So I'm taking this image, telling it when you start in the runtime setup. And I'm going to have it load the parcel first. Then I'm going to close all instances of the workspace, which is either workbook or workspace. I did both. You don't really need to worry about this for a fresh image. You could just use workbook. But I'm going to be safe. And then I'm going to tell the UI window manager to have a no window block of nothing. Because by default, if you have no windows open, it'll try to open the launcher. I don't want that. So I want it to have the no window block do nothing, and then have my application control quitting, which it does. Then I'm going to do something a little funky. I'm going to change the change request method in Visual Launcher to just answer true, because by default when you close the launcher it pops up a little dialog asking you, do you really want to do this? As my build process goes, I don't really want to click on a dialog, so I'm just going to tell it, put in a new change request, have it answer true so that I don't need that, compile it, so I'm just tossing this into this image and having it just swap that method in. Then I tell the Visual Launcher instances to all close. Then what I'm going to do is this, delay for 5 seconds. And why do I do this? Well, because I'm going to save this image, do a perm save as a new image name, and then quit. What I don't want is for my fresh image to start up with the launcher and workspace flashing on screen and disappearing, so I'm going to delay before I save so that they don't flash up on screen. So let me just do all of that. I'm going to close that, bring a little command shell up here, and then I'm going to do this. I'm going to do /build alarm, which is just a little script that you'll see what it's doing. Brings up that, loads it in. Now if I do a PS, and you see how I got a little error from the VM, you'll see that it looks like here this is still running, but that's because the delay was sitting there. If I do another PS, you'll see it's gone. And now let's try this, /start BW alarm clock, which is what I saved the image as. And there it is. I've started my image, and there it is. No launcher, no anything else. Notice that I have the little VisualWorks menu here. If I close this, it goes away because I've made the close block for that application to quit VisualWorks. So that's how you script the building of a runtime image. And you don't necessarily need to use Runtime Packager. Now if you wanted to pull code out like the debugger, you could go ahead and add a bunch of lines into your script to just manually pull out packages like the debugger, like the browser, and so on. So you can do all of this without invoking Runtime Packager and just have a nice clean script that you don't have to walk through by hand with a GUI. So that about wraps it up for today. Until next time, have fun with Smalltalk.